way! Let's go racing, boys!
On March 1st, 2015, the second race of that year's NASCAR season, a late race caution involving a blown engine from Cole Witt sends the 37-car field into a restart. Unexpectedly, part-time driver Brett Moffitt, racing for the team Michael Waltrip Racing, is lined up in fourth, in the very second row. While he fades out of the top 5 pretty fast, he surprisingly manages to keep himself in the top 10. Despite there being another caution warranting a restart, Moffitt manages to even pass a few cars around the outside, and finishes in 8th. Although this was a surprise to those who paid attention, the event was overshadowed by Jimmy Johnson pulling away to win his 71st career race, bringing him ever so close to passing the late great Dale Earnhardt. But why was this seemingly normal driver finishing in 8th such a surprise to people? What about this race and this finish made Brett Moffitt an underdog? Well, before looking at the driver, we first have to look at the team he's driving for. Michael Waltrip Racing, also known as MWR, was owned by 2001 and 2003 Daytona 500 winner Michael Waltrip, brother of 3-time NASCAR champion Darrell Waltrip, who started his race team being inspired by the legacy of his mentor and owner of the team he raced for, DEI, owned by Dale Earnhardt. The team made its first start in 2002, with driver Kenny Wallace behind the wheel of their 98 car at the large 2-mile track of Talladega, where he would finish 21st, which, for the standards of a brand new team, is fantastic. Despite this, Waltrip would sell the 98 team to Innovative Motorsports. The team continued onward with the 00 car, bringing in many different drivers, such as Jerry Nadeau, Buckshot Jones, and Mike Skinner, with mixed results. 3 years later, Michael Waltrip would leave his team of DEI to become an owner driver and race for his own team. The 2006 season wasn't exactly exemplary.
The guy's an asshole.
Crew around the track, let's take a look. On board with Michael.
Our guy's trying to come back to us.
That
was Robbie Gordon.
And Michael Waltrip at New Hampshire.
Waltrip, racing his team's flagship 55 car, would race 33 races in the season, and not finish in 7 of them. Whether it was due to accidents or part failures, Waltrip couldn't catch a break, and even when he was able to finish the races, he wasn't impressing those who were watching at home. He ended the season 37th in the points, with an average finish of 30th and a best finish of 14th. Something had to change, and for the better at that. Waltrip would sign an agreement with newly branded NASCAR manufacturer Toyota that allowed MWR to have multiple Camrys in the upcoming 2007 season. MWR welcomed in veteran Dale Jarrett into the 44 car and David Rudiman into the 00. The team was looking forward to a good year, an improvement on last year's utter failure. So, how did they do?
I got a pizza here. Oh! My ears burn!
They were awful, horrendous, atrocious. As Michael Jackson would put it, Jarrett finished 41st in the points, with the best finish of 17th. Rudiman wasn't much better, finishing 39th in the points, with the best finish of 13th. This may seem bad, but if we move over to Michael's stats, the MWR 2007 season becomes a lot more dreadful. Waltrip wasn't even able to qualify for half of the season's races, finishing 44th in the points, with a best finish of 10th at Michigan. But that's not the end of it. In the literal first race of the season, none of the drivers in MWR were allowed to compete in the Daytona 500 because Waltrip used an illegal fuel additive. Not only that, Jack Roush, part owner of Roush Fenway Racing, accused MWR of stealing one of their sway bars, and Roush almost pursued a lawsuit. In 2008, Dale Jarrett would race his final season, racing in 5 races and scoring a best finish of 16th. David Rudiman made a good improvement, scoring 4 top 10s, an average finish of 23rd, and finishing 22nd in the points. Michael Waltrip also improved, with 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, and finished 29th in the points. Not quite as much of an improvement as Rudiman, but as a whole, the team is improving. Their new driver, Michael McDowell, who raced 20 races driving the 00, had a pretty shaky start, with no finish above 20th. The most notable thing he did was this.
Points.
Whoa, whoa, guys, whoa, whoa. Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. I have never seen anything like that in my life.
He hit that wall a ton.
Oh, my gosh.
Looking at the current state of MWR, they aren't exactly a great team. They're a statistical long shot to win every race. This, compounded with the fact that new Toyota team Joe Gibbs Racing led drivers Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Tony Stewart to much success in 2008, means that MWR needs to find a way to catch up. In 2009, Waltrip scored 2 top 10s, but didn't finish 6 of the races, failing to beat his previous year's points finish. But David Rudiman led the best performance in MWR history.
Ken Butler.
Well, David Rudiman has won the Coca-Cola 600. Trip's first win as a car owner in Sprint Cup competition. And Matt Yoakum, the celebration's begun.
Yippee!
In a rain-shortened race, David Rudiman won the Coca-Cola 600. He ended up finishing 16th in the points, scoring 5 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and an average finish of 16th. MWR is no longer a statistical long shot. MWR is a contending team. When we return, we'll dive into the further advancement of MWR and how they found success during the early 2010s.
Fly the blimp, too much hot air. Race announcer, same thing there. Wouldn't get a word in with you know who. Just get down on the track and do what you do. Slide down in my seat, pull the belts tight. Get up on the wheel and let the dust fly. Never know how. Never know how.
I think how lucky I am to be a NASCAR Winston Cup driver, and how fortunate I am to have a great sponsor like Napa Auto Parts, because Napa understands quality and value, and the importance of having a friendly, knowledgeable staff. And it's at times like this, looking around at the empty grandstands and listening to the silence of pit road, that I realize I'm at the wrong track.
Michael Waltrip is the worst driver in NASCAR, period.
Hey, Denny Hamlin, Michael Waltrip, Fox Sports on TV. Do you want a taco?
He spilled it on the car. That's great.
Oh, it's all over the car.
I'm
They work on
sorry.
Now what are you going to do?
On a paint job all
That's
week.
real. Can I still get a ride home?
The 2010 season would prove that 2009 wasn't a fluke. New driver Martin Truex Jr. in the brand new 56 team wouldn't set the world on fire, but he would score 7 top 10s and win the non-points paying sprint showdown at Charlotte early in the year. David Rudiman would capture MWR's next win at Chicagoland and finish 18th in the points, with 1 more top 5 and 1 less top 10 than 2009. Michael Waltrip, who has now become a part-time driver, only elected to race 4 races during the 2010 season, scoring a best finish of 18th. There's no getting past it now. MWR has the potential to move up into the playoffs. 2011 seemed to be kind of a down year for MWR. Neither Truex nor Rudiman would win a race, and while Truex finished 18th in the points, Rudiman dropped down to finishing 28th. I feel like MWR might have done this on purpose, because in 2012, they would completely turn it around, not just bringing a car into the playoffs, but becoming contenders for the championship. 2012 would show a big change in the team's drivers. David Rudiman was surprisingly fired at the end of 2011, being replaced by Clint Bowyer, and the number would change to the 15. The number 56 remained occupied by Martin Truex, and the 55 by veteran Mark Martin and Brian Vickers. If you saw MWR's stats in 2011, and then looked at their stats in 2012, you'd think they were 2 different teams. Truex set a career-high 19 top 10s, along with 7 top 5s and leading 434 laps. Mark Martin almost won Pocono, but was moved out of the way by Joey Logano in the closing laps, having to take a second-place finish. Of his 8 races in the 55, Brian Vickers finished top 10 in 5 of them. Then there was Clint Bowyer, who almost won the championship. Bowyer set the world on fire in his first year at MWR, winning at Sonoma, Richmond, and Charlotte, bringing MWR's win count to 5. 10 top 5s, 23 top 10s, an average finish of 10th, and he led upwards of 350 laps. How did he not win the championship?
He's turning Clint Bowyer into the wall, collecting Joey Logano.
– 2013 was looking just as good as 2012. Martin Truex wins at Sonoma, and Brian Vickers wins at Loudon. Clint Bowyer doesn't win any races, but after Richmond, Clint is going into the chase in 8th, and Truex made it too, getting the final spot. Things are going well for MWR. They are now a championship-worthy team. There's only one issue. Martin Truex was eligible for the final of 2 wildcard spots in the chase, being trailed by Ryan Newman. With just 8 laps to go, Newman was in the lead, meaning that Martin Truex was sitting outside of the chase. In the 15 car, crew chief Brian Patty asked Clint Bowyer if his arm was starting to hurt. Then this happened.
Carl Edwards is going to win. I don't know, man. Newman's closing on him. Right now they're tied for the last spot. You're clear by 2 on this 13. Fresher tires. 39 is going to win the race. Well, that kind of sucks. 9 more right here. Is your arm starting to hurt? I bet it's hot in there, itching. Oh, yeah. Right with you, 88. Right with you. Right with you. Right with you.
Bowyer had spun himself out on purpose in order to bring out a caution. The field would pit and Newman would have a slow stop, dropping down to 3rd. Truex was in. As Carl Edwards crossed the line first, Martin Truex Jr. had made the playoffs. Unfortunately for the 15 team, people quickly became suspicious, and their radio chatter didn't help much either. And that wasn't the only thing MWR did either. GM Ty Norris would get on the radio with Brian Vickers and have him make a green flag pit stop in the final 2 laps to give Truex the final point he needed to Ty Newman.
Staying out. We'll be racing anyone directly in front of us so we have a chance to pass. If not, I'd say we lay back on the restart. We're probably going to pit here on green. We got to pit. You talking to me? We got to pit? Yeah, we're going to pit. What? Yeah, I don't understand. Pit right now? Green flag. Got to pit this time. We need that 1 point. So I got a tire going down? Yes.
This scandal became known as Spingate. So, what exactly did NASCAR do about it? Well, they kicked Truex out of the chase, docked each team 50 points, and fined them $300,000. But this wasn't it. The repercussions of Spingate to MWR were much worse. Napa Auto Parts, Martin Truex's primary sponsor, would part ways with the team at the end of the season, instead going to Hendrick and Junior Motorsports. Truex would leave MWR and go to Furniture Row Racing, where he would win NASCAR's most coveted prize, the championship, just 3 years later in 2017. In 2014, MWR looked to do what they did the previous year, just without the cheating. Unfortunately, Clint Boyer went from finishing 8th in the points in 2013 to 19th, and Vickers finished 22nd. Safe to say, neither driver won a race. 2014 was easily the team's worst year since 2008. MWR had gone from a laughingstock to an underdog to a contender and back to a laughingstock. At the end of 2015, after none of their drivers were able to find victory, MWR would close down and has not returned. There's only one MWR driver other than Martin Truex Jr. still racing in the current year of 2023, and that's Brett Moffitt, the guy who drove the 55 car to 8th place at Atlanta. So, now we know the team, but who exactly is Brett Moffitt? Brett Moffitt was born on August 7th, 1992, in Grimes, Iowa. At just 10 years old, he began his racing career in kart racing. In 2007, he would begin racing in the K&N Pro Series East and find success, winning in just his 4th race. The next few years, he would consistently find himself competing for the championship, finishing 2nd in points with Joe Gibbs Racing, and would team up with Michael Waltrip Racing for 2011, winning 3 times and finishing 3rd in the points. Shortly after losing the 2012 championship due to a crash on the very last lap, Moffitt made his nationwide, now known as Xfinity Series, debut at his hometown track in Iowa, finishing 9th. In 2013, Moffitt once again finished 2nd in the K&N East points. In 2014, he would make his first start in the FedEx 400, where he would finish in 22nd after starting 18th. He made 6 more starts, but unfortunately that first race would be his best. Then, we arrive back at Atlanta. Moffitt would declare eligibility for and win Rookie of the Year in 2015. Moffitt's season didn't exactly match that first Atlanta race, only scoring 1 more finish above the top 20 in 30 races, a 17th place finish at Bristol. So, how exactly did Brett Moffitt do after 2015?
to pass into the wall. It's not going to work. And Moffitt has done it in front of the hometown fans. Brett Moffitt is going to win at Chicagoland. And Moffitt side by side at the line. It's Brett Moffitt. Way for Brett Moffitt. He's going to win at ISM Raceway. And he is on his way. Brett Moffitt is going to do it and win the championship. Brett Moffitt is a NASCAR champion.
Brett Moffitt would race in the Camping World, now known as Craftsman Truck Series, and win 12 races from 2016 to 2020, winning half of those in 2018, along with the championship that year as well. Now, in 2023, Brett races for AM Racing in the Xfinity Series, wheeling the 25 car. As of this upload, he's sitting 14th in the series point standings. While we think about Moffitt's success today, people have to wonder if he would have ever gotten picked up in the Truck Series without that 8th place finish at Atlanta. Atlanta Motor Speedway had entered a drought in entertainment. Most of the great moments from Atlanta disappear after 2005. The 2015 run-in was one of the last entertaining ones. The only thing I can remember from any of the races there after that was when Kevin Harvick got a late race penalty after leading almost the entire race. Just recently, we had the second Atlanta race of the 2023 season, but the track is now different. It's in the same location, but in 2022, the track was renovated and turned into a high-banking superspeedway, where the 4 races at the track that have taken place have already been more entertaining than the final races at the old Atlanta, the most recent race being praised highly by fans for its exciting racing. Now, there's probably one question left to answer. Why does Brett Moffitt's unlikely 2015 Atlanta performance even matter? Well, while it seems like just a footnote in the history of NASCAR, it defined the stories of Michael Waltrip Racing, Brett Moffitt, and Atlanta Motor Speedway. It had shown the skeptical NASCAR fanbase that MWR, despite returning to the team they were in 2008, could still compete. It showed the skeptical NASCAR fanbase that this new upstart Brett Moffitt could become a star. It showed the skeptical NASCAR fanbase that Atlanta Motor Speedway is still a track worth of gracing the NASCAR schedule. The story of Brett Moffitt's 8th place finish at Atlanta is often overlooked. Many people look back at MWR in a negative light, and the thing most people know about them is Spingate. Looking back at MWR's last races, the Atlanta race was truly their last hurrah. When MWR closed down, no one was surprised. When Brett Moffitt won the 2018 Truck Championship, no one was surprised. Brett Moffitt's run at Atlanta on March 1st, 2015, might not matter a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's a story that represents so many others.